Hey everybody, what is going on? Serial Lover Jab here, and today I'm playing Entropia Universe. What I'm going to be doing today is a 25 PED crafting run. So what we're going to do during this run is we're going to talk about how to craft, what crafting's all about, and sort of just discuss the whole crafting ecosystem as it stands in 2019. So first off, let's get into it. Any of these terminals, anything that looks like this, you go up to it, you press F, you can start crafting. You're going to see the big blueprint you want to use is the explosives projectiles blueprint. If you're beginning crafting, there's a better way to do it. I'm going to go into that later. But if you want to do crafting, if you want to risk some money, you just don't want to spend money to get skills, this is sort of where you go. You click information, make sure your learning period is either not anymore or yes. You're going to see if you start low, you're going to be using only 2 nanocubes. If you go to the explosive projectiles blueprint level 2, you're going to see here for me, my learning period's yes, but I'm using the 20 nanocubes. So it's costing me a bit more to skill this one up, but that's how it always works, right? The better you get, the more it costs you to do a run, okay? And just so you guys know, like as far as nanocubes go, 20 nanocubes is, well, let's just break this out here because that's going to be a lot easier than watching me do the math and probably get it wrong. You guys know how bad I am with that stuff. I think it's like 2 PECs. Oh, I was wrong. It's 20 PECs. So 20 nanocubes is 20 PECs, with 1 nanocube being worth 1 PEC. I can do that math at least. Anyways, let's get going with this and let's just keep talking. So we're going to go over to construct. We're going to just select the max amount, which is 125. I'm going to do quantity. Condition is super risky. I would not recommend doing that. Later on, if you're going to be doing items that need to be sort of full TT to sell, so that's an item that has a markup, what you're going to want to do there is instead of going for condition, you're just going to want to buy these residue that you're seeing, metal residue. So if I check to use the metal residue, I could use that to fill up the TT or the trade terminal value on an L item. You want to do this because that's going to really greatly increase the markup that you get, because residue sells for, what does it sell for? About 1.69%, let's say even 2%, right? So to get 100 PEDs of residue, you pay 2 PEDs. But if you're crafting an item that's worth 110% markup, if 100 PEDs of residue goes into that, I forget what I said, I think 110%, you're making 8 PEDs off of that 10 PEDs, or off of that 100 PEDs of residue that you bought. I'm messing the numbers up here, folks, but the thought is correct. The thought is correct, trust me. So that's sort of like the generic crafting and just how it goes. What you want to do when you're skilling up is there's 2 ways to do it, okay? You can either do it the old school way. This way is extremely inefficient. You're going to lose a lot of money, but it's the way that I like. You can just craft the blueprints, okay? So I'm doing explosive projectiles blueprint 2. This is going to get me some mechanical engineering skill, and then slowly I can skill up my... Nope, I was in the right page the first time. I doubted myself there. I can skill up my professions, and what you're going to see is slowly my mechanical engineering skill is going to increase. When this skill hits 10, you unlock a hidden skill. So there's hidden skills in this game. Those are just skills that you don't get when you start off. You get them when you hit a certain level. Once you unlock that hidden skill, now you go nuts. You craft whatever you want. So most people, the way they'll do it, and this is a smart way, this is the way that I don't do, but I should do, you go here. You get this thing, right? This is a vehicle repair thing, and you can either repair vehicles on Calypso, or otherwise you can go up to a mothership. You've got to contact someone to schedule that, but you go up to a mothership and you just repair that ship. As you repair the ship, you're going to get skills. It's going to cost you money, but overall it's going to be cheaper than skilling it up this way that I'm doing here. So it costs a lot of money to craft. You're usually going to lose money. It's generally thought of as this losing profession. It's thought of like, hey, if you're crafting, you are taking losses out the wazoo, okay? But you're getting skills, and those skills are actually a little bit more valuable than other skills, because eventually, so this is the hope, eventually you get to be a high enough level crafter that you can buy some rare blueprints. You can create whatever those blueprints are for and make a profit because you're more successful crafting that item than most other people. So for instance, let's say you could craft a gun like this gun that I'm buying, the LR20. Maybe you have an unlimited blueprint for an LR20. That blueprint might have cost you 20 to 30,000 PEDs, but off of every LR20 that you create, you're making 10 PEDs, right? You've got to create so many blueprints. You've got to create so many guns to make your money back, but there's definitely a point where you'll make your money back, and that's something that's different from any other profession in Entropia Universe. And the reason this works is because while you're still losing money on the ores and everything like that, you're going to be making it back because you're putting that residue in, you're getting that high markup, and you're getting that full TT value. So maybe it costs you 20 PEDs of materials, and those materials cost 20% markup, but then you put another 80 PEDs in with the residue, right? Now your markup, you're probably sitting around 5% that you're spending. Let's say you succeed 80% of the time, or let's say 75% of the time, okay? So now you've got to make back that 25%, but if you run the numbers, there's a lot of blueprints that this actually works out on. And the key here, the blueprint needs to be rare, so it's going to be expensive. And it needs to be high enough level that nobody else can do it, okay? Because if L blueprints are dropping and people are just skilling with them, you're not going to be able to make it work with an un-L blueprint, or it's going to be a lot harder. If it's a high level thing, if it's a level 10 blueprint, if it's something that nobody else can really get their hands on, and the few people who do just aren't skilled enough to really have much success with it, then you're golden. But to get to that level is extremely, extremely hard. There are some players who have done it, and honestly, I'd love to be one of those players. I just do not have the money. I could spend my whole account value. So my account's worth about 50,000 PEDs. If I spend my whole account value on crafting, there is a good chance that I could pull out ahead and actually start making money with it. But there's a chance that I wouldn't. There's a chance that would be a complete and utter failure. So just think about that before you get into crafting. But that is sort of the genesis and the reason behind crafting. It's a very high risk, but long term it has high rewards. And yeah, I just wanted to do a crafting run because it's been a while since I've done those runs, and a few people on my Discord, they're like, hey, Serial, how do you craft? Like, can you do a video on it? And I'm like, yeah, it's been a while. I've got crafting videos, but I'm like, hey, we'll do another one. Because everybody likes to know, like, what's changed, what's new, what's different. And it's been a long enough time that I'm like, hey, it's time to start making some of these beginner guides again. So we're going to do, so this is sort of the beginner's guide to crafting while we're doing a nice little crafting run here. It's a little bit of a different style than I usually do, but hopefully you guys like it. Let me know what you think. We're going to run this through the full thing, the full 25 PEDs worth. For those of you guys who don't know, nano cubes, which is what I'm using to craft, can be bought in the trade terminal. Other resources, so some blueprints are going to take, not these, well, some blueprints will take resources that you get from hunting, like components. Some are going to take resources that you get from mining, just ores and end matter. All of that you've got to buy from a player, and generally when you're buying stuff from a player, there's going to be some sort of markup. Because on auction it costs money to sell. The only time you're going to have it where there's no markup is if you're in a society and people in that society are very nice. They might be willing to just drop some components to you when they run into you. Because say, like, I go out on a 50 PED hunt, okay? I get some oil. There's a 1% markup on the oil. Even if I get 100 PEDs of oil, I can put it on auction. I'm making 50 PECs. It's not really worth it for me to have my PEDs locked up in it. So I say, hey, I'm just going to TT it. Maybe you're in chat. I'll throw out on my society chat and say, hey, anyone interested in buying this? If someone says yes, it's like, okay, just meet me here and we'll get it and we'll be good to go. It's a little bit harder now because of the planets and everything like that, but you can still find it. You can still find a lot of societies, even if you do in trade chats. Sometimes people throw that out there. You never know. But for the most part, what happens is when you're buying anything that you can't get out of the trade terminal, you're paying a markup on it. So always keep that in mind. That's one of the reasons that explosive projectiles are the best blueprints to craft up as far as leveling goes. Because those blueprints are everything's from the trade terminal. You're paying 100%. So your losses are off the TT value. And for Mindark, your losses are always off the TT value. Mindark makes all their money. Mindark's the people who make this game. They make all of their money on the trade terminal value. So if you're crafting and you paid 200% markup for something, Mindark doesn't consider that. When they try and get their money out of you, they're just basing it on the trade terminal value. So the closer you can get to that value, the less you're going to lose. Because overall, just think of this game like a casino or anything like that, okay? the house always has to make money, so you're playing against the players. You're not playing against the house. If MindArk was losing money, they couldn't run this game. This is not some Silicon Valley tech company. This isn't Uber. This isn't Lyft. They can't take $1 billion of losses and keep going. It would be awesome if they could, because then we'd all be rich. That would be a great pyramid scheme, MindArk. Anyways, no, but what I'm saying is, like, they need to make money, so you can't play MindArk. And if you do, that's an extremely hard one to do. There are people that go to Vegas and make money playing blackjack. That is hard. You've got to be a mathematician. You've got to be counting cards. You've got to know your odds. You've got to know the play for every card, and you've really got to be on the ball. Now, it's better if you go to the poker table in Vegas. You find a bunch of people who are tourists, and then you play them. I'm usually one of those tourists, so if you guys ever hear someone that sounds like me at a poker table, sit down and win some money, because I'm usually giving it away. But anyways, like that's just how it works, right? That's how you want to play it, and that's what I'd recommend. A lot of people, they think that they can play MindArk. A lot of people think that crafting is about making money off the TT value. It's not. Crafting is about that long slog. It's about putting in the work, putting in the time, putting in the money, and then coming out ahead because you are the best crafter in the game. And that's the only way it's going to work. That really is. And also what you're going to see here, we got some nano cubes back, so we got 16 attempts left. I'm going to just run through those attempts too. I always like to do this, just use all the resources you've got. If you're paying markup for them, if you're paying extra to get them, why are you sitting on them? Just use them. It doesn't apply as much for explosive projectiles, because explosive projectiles are trade terminal value, so there's no problem with me selling them back. But if I was doing a mining run and I'm doing list or anything like that, that's what I'd want to consider. One thing also is most people, like a lot of people, want to use the resources they mine and hunt to craft with. There's nothing wrong with that, but you are going to be losing markup, and it probably would be cheaper for you to use explosive projectiles instead. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to do it that way. If you do, you're with, probably thousands of others who are doing the same thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Just that's the thing. I'm trying to tell you guys just where you're going to lose money, where you're going to make money. I'm not telling you guys how to play the game. Play the game however it's fun for you. That's how I play. That's why I'm not up on a mothership crafting for 10 hours, because I just don't see the fun in that. I'd rather sit here, watch this go through, get a few good runs, maybe get some returns, talk about it. I don't want to craft for 10. I don't want to sit on a mothership for, 10 hours. So that's just not fun for me. And at that point, you're better off just buying the skills, because there's someone that'll sell them to you. Anyways. So we just finished that run. That was 25 PEDs. Let's hit that trade terminal and see where we're at. So we got this. I know what's coming from the from what I crafted. That's how I can pull this out. So you're only ever going to get residue. You're going to get those nano cubes back, and then you're going to get the explosive projectiles. So here we've got those, and you guys can see I started with 25 PEDs, and I'm down to 15.53 PEDs. If you compare this to most of my average runs, this is a lot bigger loss, but that's because I'm crafting, and that's because that's sort of the price you pay. There's a slight markup on explosive projectiles, 3%. So you do make a little bit back, but it's not enough to be worth it, because everybody can run this. Everybody can do this. Also, I was in that learning period, which means I was uneco with the blueprints, but I wanted to go big or go home, and I guess this time I'm going home with some losses. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that about crafting or anything, feel free to let me know. But until next time, peace. Also, if you can, like the video, sub. You guys know the drill. Peace.